Columbia State and the Herald. Welcome to this debate between Ty Cobb and Sheila Butt. Each candidate will have 2 minutes for an introduction, and then we will begin questioning, alternating between the two, and each candidate will have 2 minutes to respond. At the end of the questioning, they will have 2 minutes for their closing statements. And if you two are ready, we will get started. Mr. Cobb, if you would, introduce.
Thank you. I'm State Representative Ty Cobb, and I'm glad to be here tonight. First, I want to give a thank you to the Columbia Daily Herald and Columbia State Community College for hosting this debate. Very important, but I think it's very important to talk about Columbia State since we're on the campus here tonight and how important Columbia State is to our region. Under Dr. Janet Smith, Columbia State has been instrumental in the past 50 years in helping educate not only young people but adults alike, and I look forward to working with them for many years to come and over the next 50 years as we continue to educate people. You know, I was born here in Maury County in 1978, son of school teachers, Ann and Danny Ray Cobb, who are here tonight in the audience, and they taught me the important values of putting God first, working hard, and helping others. I attend Graymere Church of Christ, and it's those values that I take with me to the legislature every day when I make the decisions I make for the people here in Maury County. When I'm not state representative, I'm a firefighter for the city of Columbia, where I've been for 12 years with the rank of captain. And I enjoy firefighting and I enjoy politics because I enjoy helping people. Tennessee is a great state, and Maury County is the best place to live. Some of those reasons that Tennessee is great is because we have no income tax. And I'm not a supporter of a state income tax. I'm totally against it. As long as I'm your state representative, I will not vote for it. We have a great quality of life with great students and great teachers and a great school system. Great teachers are the key to a good education. I was fortunate to have it growing up. We have a great location in the South and in this area for business, and that's vital when we go to recruiting companies like IB Tech and improving GM and Spring Hill. But lastly, I think it's important to know that I'm a state representative that represents all the people. Democrats, Republicans, Independent, does not matter. When you have an issue or concern, you can always call my office, and I'm here to help. I look forward to tonight's debate and discussing issues. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Cobb. And Sheila Butt, would you open?
Thank you. I also want to thank Columbia State and the Student Government Association for having us here tonight, the Daily Herald. I thank my opponent for coming tonight. And I thank each one of you for coming tonight to listen, because this is a pivotal time in Maury County. We've lived here 25 years. Our children have gone to both private and public schools here, and we are strong supporters of both and the education system here in Maury County. In the last 2 years, Maury County has lost hundreds of jobs. Thankfully, we may be getting some back, with GM announcing that it plans to bring 485 jobs back to Spring Hill within a couple years. Also, IB Tech has announced it will bring 385 new jobs to Mount Pleasant. However, it still seems that every time we go to a ribbon cutting, the next thing we see is some small business going out of business. I want every one of you to know here tonight that there is no irrelevant person to me in Maury County, and there is no irrelevant job to me in Maury County. I want every person who wants a job to be employed. Tennessee is a right-to-work state, and that, along with no income tax, is something that will draw more industry and more private businesses here in the next few years. I do want to congratulate Maury Alliance, who has unveiled an aggressive plan to bring 2,000 more jobs to Maury County. Small businesses are the backbone of our economy, and I'm for lowering taxes on small businesses and putting money back into the hands of those who create jobs and hire workers. Unlike my Democrat opponent, I will not vote to raise taxes on family-owned businesses. What our small businesses need is for us to leave them alone and let them work. My goal is to put Maury County back to work. I believe, like John F. Kennedy said, that a rising tide lifts all the boats. Let's lift the economic tide in Maury County for everyone. In the meantime, let's keep control of our health care, our local schools, and our individual rights. We, the people of Maury County, do have a voice, and it must be heard now. Do we believe in our capacity for self-government?
I hate to cut you off, Sheila, but we do need to keep on the time. Thank you.
That's fine. Thank you. Thank
Ladies and gentlemen, please, if you would, I did allow you a little applause for each one of the candidates. From this point on, if you would, hold your applause until the end of the debate, please. We are on a time schedule, and we do have another debate after this one. So, the two candidates, Mr. Cobb and Ms. Butt, would you please keep a mind on your time? And I don't like to interrupt you, but we will interrupt you, and the elves may come get you. So. We are going to, these are your candidates for District 64, Tennessee House of Representatives. Ty Cobb is our Democratic candidate, and Sheila Butt, the Republican, if any of you were in the dark and didn't know. I think everyone knows who each one of them are. But we will begin the questioning with Ms. Butt. And question number one, are you two ready?
Yes,
sir.
Okay. Question number one, Ms. Butt. Politicians often say they can solve the state's budget issues without raising taxes, but they fail to mention specific cuts they would make to balance the budget. Name two specific ways you would reduce spending or make government more efficient. Ms. Butt.
One of the first things I would do is look at things that we have been funding for years that we may not need to be funding now. One example of this, for many years in World War II, we funded the mohair industry to the tune of $40 million a year because we needed that mohair to make the uniforms of our soldiers. So for many years after that, we funded the mohair industry $40 million. We have lots of pork in our budget that we are funding things that we can look at closely and carefully and take out of that budget. We've got to cut spending because if we don't, we have to raise taxes. And we know that in this economy, raising taxes will not spur our businesses. Raising taxes will not help our economy. And we have to look at cutting spending. Is it something we like to do? No, it's not something we like to do. But when you, at the end of the month, find out that you can't afford your cable anymore, what do? You have to cut off the cable, don't you? So there are some things like that that we are going to have to look at. We cannot adopt budget based on inflated revenue growth for the next 2 or 3 years. We need to base our budgets on what we have instead of inflated revenue growth. We can't always be, as my opponent mentioned at the Eggs and Issues breakfast recently, looking for more sources of revenue. That just means we have to raise taxes on our families, our businesses, and what we have to do is take a strict look at that budget and make it count more in every area.
Thank you. And if either one of you needs me to repeat the question, would you please?
Go ahead and repeat the question. Thank you.
Mr. Cobb, politicians often say they can solve the state budget issues without raising taxes, but they fail to mention the specific cuts they would make to balance the budget. Name two specific ways you would reduce spending or make government more efficient.
This has been a challenge for many states across the country, but when you look at Tennessee, Tennessee is one of the best managed states in the country. We have over $600 million in reserves, $400 million in TennCare reserve, so we've managed your tax dollars wisely. But I do agree that there's not a need, we're in a position we don't need to raise taxes on people. People are hurting, and we have to make sure we make the cuts at the proper areas. One place I can tell you I will not cut is education in pre-K and K through 12 and higher ed. Those are vital to moving our state and our cities and our counties forward, is making sure we have an educated workforce. But I like the way that Governor Bredesen has managed and how he's told departments, look, we're going to cut 7% of your budget. It's your decision how you're going to cut it. But we might come back and say there's 5%, but we need that cushion. The stimulus money that was passed down by the federal government was not very popular, but one of the things that we looked at and the governor looked at is it gave us a timeline of 2 years to have a cushion to give departments from higher ed to Center Stone with mental health and all across at least 2 years to get their budgets in line. And I think in the next General Assembly you'll see that the departments will come back and have made those cuts that need to be made. As a state representative, my job is to manage your tax dollars all across the board, and we've done that in a good 2 years under my watch.
Thank you. And we do have rebuttal for each one of you, if you would limit it very briefly. 30 seconds.
I would just like to say we do have the tough decisions ahead, and we're going to have to look at major shortfalls because the stimulus money will be gone. And every one of us is going to have to look at the line, into the line, and see where we can make those cuts and where we can better spend our money. In Tennessee, in our education, in Murray County, we are highest in expense on education, lowest in result for that education. And we've got to look at everything together and say, how can we make our money work for us better? But I will always support our teachers in Murray County.
Thank you. Mr. Cobb?
Well, being the son of school teachers, I think you know why education is a top priority of mine. But I think it's also important just to look across the board. Look at the two candidates here tonight. I have the experience on the county level. I know how the county commission works. I know how local government works. And I know the decisions they make when I'm trying to pass a budget in Nashville. And it's a ripple effect. So where we cut affects local government. And those are the needs and concerns that I have to address when I'm your state representative.
Thank you.